The last thing that we're going to talk about with building new brain and being happy and being connected is direct human interaction. And it's probably my favorite. It's fascinating. We've always known that being with another person or other people that you like or that you love makes you feel warm and safe and positive and connected. But now there's a lot of science that tells us why. So that's what I get to do, and it's really interesting. But the first thing is when you look at someone. When we have warm eye gaze, we have a bunch of mirror neurons, spindle neurons, all sorts of things that start to fire in your head in as little as 1/12 of a second. We've got oxytocin receptors around and in our eyes. So when you look at someone, especially when it's a warm, positive look, then you get oxytocin. You get a lot of it. And you actually build it up with each other. If you give me oxytocin, I'll give it back to you. We get dopamine, we get serotonin, we get vasopressin. We get lots of other electrical impulses and sparks from micro behaviors. And no, you cannot pick them up over a screen. And we get lots of other electrical activity. So we have this beautiful brain activity that starts really quickly. So then if we add sharing space, proximity is a really important thing for humans. We like to be with other people. It's why we go to the movies and to concerts and to cafes, because we like being in the same physical space as other people. And we now know that we share 2,000 chemicals with each other. We pick up lots of information and we give out lots of information. You can walk into a room and you can feel whether it's happy or whether it's stressed, and your brain can kind of start and stop and shut down and pick up and get excited. We can feel welcome. We can pick up stress and it impacts our mood. We impact other people's moods. So we can read other people without looking at them, just by being in shared space. If we're moving with another person in shared space, then we get what's called dynamic resonance. So it means that we go in time. So if you're rocking a baby especially, but even if you're walking, dancing, doing various things where you're doing it together, then you get another boost of chemicals. So walking meetings are famous for coming up with new ideas. And it's because you've got all of that exercise kind of benefit, but you've also got shared space and shared extra chemicals. So it's a really important thing to do. The next thing I'll talk about is voice. So we now know that there is an amazing amount of science around the human voice and how it impacts another person. We have brain-to-brain coupling because we actually pick up the frequency of another human voice. It sits at 3 to 8 hertz, and our brain is always waiting and ready to pick it up, and our ears act like little radar. So it's why you can hear humans in an area when there's a lot of other noise. And when you hear the voice of someone you know, then it connects straight to the socio-emotional parts of your brain. And that's what makes you feel warm and connected and that you belong. It's also what makes you potentially burst into tears when you've been upset and you've kept it all together, and then you hear or you talk to someone that you know. And it's because you just connect straight into those emotional areas. So voice does a number of things for us. It really connects us very strongly, and it's often why people prefer to talk over the phone these days than to talk on screens all the time, because you don't have that constant busy trying to pick up hundreds of pieces of information over a screen, the Zoom fatigue type of issue. Instead, you get this really warm connection, and your brain can make the pictures a little bit like reading. So voice is a really powerful part of connecting to another human. Then there's touch. So we have things called C fibers in our skin. And when you warmly touch someone, whether it's just shaking their hand, patting their arm, and certainly hugging, then you set them off. And they go straight into the emotional parts of your brain before the stimuli actually hits your brain. And they will tell your brain whether it's nice or whether it's not nice. So it's really powerful. And those C fibers set off a number of things: dopamine, serotonin. They synchronize all sorts of chemicals. We can synchronize mood levels. If we hold someone, if we hold a baby, we can synchronize cortisol. If someone gives you a hug, then you get a huge oxytocin boost within 2 minutes. Well, you have to know them to hug them for 2 minutes. But you get lots of different things when you touch and when you hold. So we're very powerfully built to connect in that way. It's another complete method of communication. So the last thing that I'll cover is interpersonal neural synchronization, very much like the brain-to-brain coupling that I was talking about with voice. So now we know, because I get to put caps on people and watch their brains when they interact. And when one person is deeply connected to another, when they're paying attention to someone else, then their brain lights up. And what we can see from the other person is when they feel that connection, their brain lights up too. So the more you know that person, the stronger it gets. But even the 2-minute discussion in a coffee line with someone that you don't know, if you look at them, you smile and just chat for a couple of minutes, you notice that when you leave, you feel a bit of a lift. And it's because you've got this wonderful new set of chemicals that are going between you and are staying in you when you leave. So when we get that chemical connection, we get an increase of trust. We get aligned values. We can collaborate more with people. We actually can measure increased creativity. We can even solve problems better and differently. We have a longer lens. We think about different things as important. So we're hardwired to connect and to think differently and to respond. And we get lower stress response. We can even get lower pain. So the nurse that will sit with you for a minute, maybe put their hand on your arm, look at you and listen, will make you get better earlier. And it strengthens our immune system and it strengthens our brain because all of those neurogenesis kind of chemicals are going into there. And it gives us more hope about a lot of things, greater resilience and a sense of belonging. So we are so lucky that we have each other to directly connect with, and it keeps your brain buzzing.